It is crazy how in bioinformatics we often jump from a few samples that are so easy to analyze to thousands of samples that increasingly become difficult to process. And really, I want you to think about it in terms of how you can apply a given set of commands to thousands of data. You can imagine how challenging this can sometimes become. That is why most bioinformaticians shift to this global idea of working with workflows. Hi there, and welcome to GMEDS. The overall purpose of this series of tutorials is to introduce you to the concept of Snakemake. Now, this is just a workflow development language that people use to build their workflows and improve the efficiency of their data analysis. Now, one of the major motivations behind using Snakemake or just bioinformatics workflows in general is robustly stated in this paper by Costas Lab. This paper was published in May 2021 in the journal F1000, and you can pretty much find it and read what the authors state inside there. However, one of the most striking things that I found in this paper was the idea that when you're handling large amounts of data sets, you need this concept of reproducibility. You need reproducibility to ensure that there is technical validation and to ensure that you can regenerate the results using the data that you are currently analyzing, as well as any new data that may come along in the process of your data analysis. It is even more striking that when analyzing data, we just don't care about reproducibility alone. We also care about how adaptable is our analysis process and how transparent can the analysis process be. And that is just why we need to shift and work around building workflows for our data analysis. Throughout these tutorials, we will focus on a series of objectives which are quite simple. Our first objective will be just to learn how to build bioinformatics workflows, but starting with Bash. With a good understanding of Bash, we will then shift to a gentle introduction on Snakemake. And throughout the entire process, we will just learn best practices of building bioinformatics workflows. Now, we will have a simple approach to these tutorials. And the first approach that we will use is that we will use open source bioinformatics tools and softwares. My reason for choosing these tools and softwares is because they are so easy to install and pretty much you will not need to spend any amount in them. But even so, the most fundamental issue here is that there is a robust support on these tools that you can find online, just in case you run into any issues. We'll also start the tutorials with Bash because Bash is the most important entry language into bioinformatics data analysis. With a good understanding of Bash, as I stated earlier, we will next shift to implementing our Bash scripts in Snakemake. I have also scripted the entire process, the entire tutorial down that you can read in my Medium blog as well as in the GitHub pages. I will provide all the links to these resources inside the video description. Now, we don't really care much about the data that we will use for these tutorials, but we will use the whole genome sequences that were published by Mason's lab, where they looked at multiple patients with schwannomas and did both whole exome and whole genome sequencing. We will not care much about the whole exome sequencing, but we'll focus on a subset of patients. Now, I will need to raise some caution even as we go through this series of tutorials. This is not a comprehensive introduction to bioinformatics. I'm pretty much sure you can find well-detailed videos on other bioinformatics concepts that I don't cover in detail in these tutorials. And also, really, this is not a comprehensive view or a comprehensive discussion on Snakemake. My idea here is to pique your interest in Snakemake and just let you know that, hey, this tool exists outside there and it can make your life way more easier. One thing I would encourage you to do is to go through the Snakemake documentation just in case you need to learn additional or advanced concepts on Snakemake. Otherwise, see you in the next videos and hope you enjoy.